Okay, Charles Arconi, and I am back for M365 Admin Tools to explain to you how to use and the purpose of the Microsoft 365 Copilot Cost and ROI Calculator. So this you might think of as a sister tool to Copilot Readiness Scanner. The Readiness Scanner, which I did in another video, it gives you a report you can provide to your customer, or just if you want to use it for your own purposes. Maybe you're just an engineer trying to figure this stuff out. This one gives you the report on things you may need to look at before you deploy Copilot. This one gives you costs and estimations only. These are not absolute fact, they're estimations. Let's go to that. And this will give you estimations on how much per month it's going to cost you to run Copilot if you deploy it, right? Because it's a licensed product. They have the base product. You can ask questions and things in your typical licensing, your E3, E5, E7s, that kind of thing. But, well, I should say the E3. When you start moving up, you get the higher levels, higher versions of Copilot, more features available to you. So, but to get the full Copilot suite with being able to deploy agents to do tasks, that kind of thing, scheduling, co-work, all those things, you need to purchase the Copilot license. So we'll do a company with, let's say the company has about 500 employees. It's a small company, 500 employees, and they want to do enterprise Copilot seats. So that's someone who's really going to be pushing it. They're going to be using all the features of Copilot. Let's say really about 150 of those people are going to be doing that out of 500. So maybe they already have some E7 licensing. Maybe they have that for, let's say, 100 people. And then for the basic Copilot license, which still gives you lots of tools, $21 a month. And these prices are based on the most recent ones I pulled from Microsoft. They could change at any time. You should always check these prices and not just rely on my tool to give you an exact price. So let's say we now have 250 left. Yeah. Unlicensed users interacting with agents every month. So these are people, well, everyone's licensed really, but let's just say you've got some users that are not with a complete license, maybe outside people that are going to interact with your agents and answer, questions, get data, that kind of stuff. Average agent sessions per user per month, 10. Standard generative credits. So if you don't know what that term means, so every time you ask a chatbot or you ask ChatGPT or Copilot a question, you're using credits to do that. The same thing as tokens, right? There's so many tokens per credit. And, a typical question in ChatGPT could generate 100,000 tokens, and that might equal out to 4 or 5 credits. So they're doing the standard of 8. I mean, it can go as high as 48. You can do a custom one in here. Maybe that you're on typical doing 12 credits per session. So we could set it right there. Users with co-work enabled, maybe you've got 50 of them that are going to testing that out for you. And how many tasks are they doing per month? Medium 500 credits a task. Yeah, I mean, it depends on what they're doing. That seems a little heavy to me. I'd rather say light. So you can see a lot of this is guesswork, and you're going to have to do some research. But let's just say this is kind of what we're coming up with. Down here now, we see that our license spend per month is going to be, it's a mix because there's some E7 licensing in there, is going to be $19,650, and then $1,000 in consumption costs. So that's like credits outside of, or credits from token usage or generative credits per session, right? So that's your spend right there on that. So total monthly, $20,650, total annual, $247,800. An average license cost per user of $41.30. Now we come down to the ROI calculator, and this number here, this cost will carry on down here. Now, the thing does not carry down is this part right here. I may change that in a later version, but that's where it's at right now. So let's do this. Let's say, yeah, that's about right. Copilot, and we're going to say, because if we look at our cost up here, 4130, I wouldn't do the higher one. I would do this one instead. And let's do 500 licensed seats total. And that's our basic cost that we're getting. Hours saved per week per user. So this right here is another reason I say you need to do your own estimations, or take this report and, spend some more time with talking with your client, your customer, or your internal team and thinking about this. Because a lot of this is just that. It's knowing your environment, knowing your employees, your teammates, and how they use things and how they work, right? What's the culture at your company? So how many hours saved per user per week? I think 2 hours, depending on the type of company. Let's say it's a company that's a tech company. They're doing a lot of documentation, a lot of spreadsheets, writing a lot of programs and scripts, talking to customers, looking up knowledge base stuff, that kind of thing. This could actually save them more like about 8 hours a week, or let's just say an average user saved 6 hours a week. I know that AI, for me personally, saves me like 20 hours a week of work, because I have agents doing things for me every day, sorting through email, checking websites, looking through forums, doing all sorts of stuff. So I'm saving like 20 hours a week. I 100% know that. So let's just say on the average, they're saving 6 hours a week. So loaded hourly cost, and you'll see where it says salary, benefits, and overhead per hour. So this is the hourly wage your users are getting. Your users, your employees, your coworkers, the client's employees. What's the average cost per user per hour, right? Per employee per hour. And it might be higher than this, it might be lower than this, but remember, we're taking an average. 46 working weeks a year. So going with these averages right here, and again, this one is a guesstimation. This one you can find out for sure. Adoption rate. What is your adoption rate of licensed seats? That means I bought 500 licenses, but how many people are actually going to use it? Well, 70% is kind of high, I think. Let's say we start out at 60%. You're going to do some training out there, get some stuff on your website, send out some emails, letting people know what they've got, what's available to them. So it'll probably ramp up for sure, but let's say we'll start at 60%. Productivity capture rate. What is that? This is how many hours are saved that the employee would have used otherwise manually themselves. Let's say, as an example, I'm in accounting and there's a spreadsheet, or let's say there's a database that captures all of the sales, and another database for employee expenses, and another database for overhead corporate expenses, and so on and so forth. There's all these different expenses. So you export that out to, say, CSV files, right? And you open them up in Excel, and you kind of sort through and kind of massage the data to produce a report. And let's say on average that takes you a couple of days to do that. A day to get it all out, a day to kind of massage it and go through it and really think about it if it's right or correct, and then another whatever amount of time to create the report. So let's say now with AI, you can say here's these 3 or 4 CSV files, sort through them and give me back the data based on whatever the prompt you give it is. And so it does it in 30 minutes or 10 minutes or 5 minutes. So you've just saved yourself like a full day of work in 5 minutes. So that's kind of what this is. What are we getting back? Now, I say 50% is high for most people. Not for me, because I definitely use it quite a bit. But for some people, let's just say we're gonna get back 20% of our hours, saved hours. Okay, and you can see how the numbers change if you move this around. Let's just say 20%. I think that's pretty good. One-time rollout cost training. Well, that is what it costs you to gets consultants in and help you design the project, roll it out to everybody, get training for everybody, web pages, emails, videos, that kind of stuff. 5,000, I think that's fair for 500 users. Maybe it could be a little bit more, but we'll leave it at 5,000. So when we come over here, this gives us our payback period, 1 month, and we're paid back. Why? 391% ROI from 1 year. So that seems excessive. Like how could my $247,000 be paid back in 1 month, right? And how could I get this kind of ROI? Well, because our annual license cost is $247, our one-time rollout costs $5,000. That gives us a total of $252,800. So active users 300. Even though we've got 500 here, based on our estimations on this page and the things we're saying, how it's going to be adopted, how it's going to be used, we've only got about 300. So adoption rate is where this number comes from right here. Captured hours per year right there. So we're going to save 16,000 hours, man hours, or people hours a year. And that's going to give us a gross benefit based on this number over here of 1.2 million a year. So our $247,000 investment could generate a savings or benefit of over $1 million a year for us. So our net annual benefit after removing all these costs up here, $994,000. That's pretty good. Now, you could just highlight this and email it to a coworker or a customer, but we can also click on Generate Report. This is a report you could send over to a customer, to a teammate. It's going to give you what your total spend is, your annual, everything that was on that page, but in kind of a nice, clean package that you can pass around. That's basically what this is. So here you go. Thanks for watching. I hope this helps you out. If you've got questions about this tool, you can think of some ways to improve it, feel free to use the contact on this site down here, and send me your info and your question. And if I can make a quick change to this that helps you or many people, then I'll be happy to do it. Okay. Thanks again and have a great day.